I will just go over the solutions and we'll tell what exactly happens here. And again, this network mocking test will currently only work for local tests, so the ones that you run directly in CI/CD. For SaaS, we are working on making this happen as well with WebdriverIO, but right now it's only working for local. And the idea is that for those tests, you have a mock command, and you can specify a glob pattern here. So in this case, I want to match all the URLs that end with /API/tags. And with mocking, it's not that you completely mock the request, it's just that you have a special URL that you want to treat differently. And so you can filter it even more, saying I want to filter, or I want to mock all requests with a specific header, with a specific status code, with a specific whatever you have. I think the documentation has a nice example of what is possible here. So yes, you can filter on status code, header, response headers, and post data even, if you send something over as a in a form. And then this mock, if you just define it like this, nothing will happen. The browser will continue to work as normal, but you can say, okay, I want to respond with a custom response. And here we have an article response, which is directly coming from a JSON file that you can define in your test suite as like a fixture. And so this article response, and check that out, it's like contains the custom response that is defined by the API. If you use Open API, you can even auto-generate those. There are tools that allow you to auto-generate custom example responses. There's a feature request in the project that will allow you to record all the API endpoints if you want so. So this will be coming soon, I hope. But ideally, this will be then plugged into the response so that the browser responds with a custom browser response. And that doesn't only work for requests, like for API requests, but you can also override an image. So here we take from our custom response, we take the image URL of the author. So this is this one, Batman avatar. And what we do in our next step is to return the cat, I think. Yeah. So instead of showing the custom image of our custom response, it responds with a cat image. So here we open then our URL after we defined our mocks, which is important. You first have to define how you want to respond with, and then you open the application on the test. And then you can see the amount of articles that are shown are not like 10 or whatever you have here in the global feed usually. Usually it's like 10 or something. It's now exactly the amount of what we have in our article response. There's a different mock. Oh yeah, this mock that we have defined before. This is actually more correctly referred as to a spy, because we don't, with this mock, we don't modify the response. We just mock it because we want to actually check if the browser has requested that endpoint. We can go fancier and say, okay, I expect this endpoint to be requested with certain properties. So we have here, oh, it's an expert in our assertion library for network here to be requested with. So we can have assertions on, it's similar to what Jest provides you with executing functions, but here it's on the network level. You say, I want to check if my mock has been requested with this specific URL, or with a post method, or with a specific status code. It has had a specific status response, status codes at response. I expected specific request headers, response headers, post data, and a specific even response. And that can be very useful if you have, for instance, integration into third-party services like Google Analytics, and you want to make sure in your post-production test that these integrations are integrated and that you actually do a call to Google Analytics when you do a certain action. I can maybe run this real quick as I have this available, test.js. Going into the solution for network mocking. And here, as you can see, I have one WDIO config that actually should not work here, or should not be. That's the wrong solution actually. Should not go into. Should not be called WebdriverIO config. I think it doesn't even go to WebdriverIO. Let's see. It runs locally. It has Chrome driver and Alua. Okay, it's just a wrong name for it. So we move this to call it local conf. Just oh no, WebdriverIO conf is right. I was confusing something. Okay, so if we run this now, we let me actually make a little break at the end of the test so we can see that the images actually have changed. So here in the end, after we have opened our browser, we can just say browser.pause for, let's say, 15 seconds. And that will help us to see what's going on. That starts Chrome driver, it runs our test, and it starts my browser. So now I see my Automatica and another Automatica, and with the cat image right here. So instead of actually doing the requests, it replaces those requests with the custom mocks that we have there, and then the tests are passing. So let's say we would change our test in a way that it would say we expect the spy to be, just to see how it feels. Nope. Maybe we quick look into the docs again. Let's say we expect this response, which would be false, but or it has, or the API has changed in there. But yeah, this way you can, modifying your results, you can also go over things like log in your user all over again, and it helps you with sharding your test. So you have one test that makes sure that your login works, and another test, all the other tests use the same login behavior over time.